Very good afternoon to our viewers and welcome to a new edition of Africa Today, our show bringing you all the latest news and events concerning the African continent. My name is Angie Meher, joining you for today's edition of the show. And as usual, we begin straight away with a look at news, starting this time from home, where Egypt has urged an infrastructural overhaul to boost trade in the African continent. This came during the inaugural first Egyptian-African Economic Conference, where government officials and international envoys outlined a strategy to activate the African Continental Free Trade Area. Now we're delighted to be joined over the telephone for more discussion by Dr. Ahmed Farag, the economic expert. Dr. Ahmed, good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for your time this afternoon. What can you tell us about the first Egyptian-African Economic Conference that is being hosted in Cairo?
As you know, the Egyptian-African Economic Conference was launched here in Cairo, and it pays more attention to the relations between Cairo and all the as we know, economic integration is very, very important on several economic. It expands. Now Africa is one of the fastest growing consumer markets in the world. Also, integration of Egypt to increase exports to industrial goods, pharmaceutical materials, food products and service. Also, it helps.
Right, Dr. Ahmed, we seem to be having a bit of a problem with our phone lines. Ladies and gentlemen, do stay tuned. We will hopefully get Dr. Ahmed back on the line with a better connection. But until we get him back on the line, of course, during this conference, Cairo has urged an infrastructural overhaul to boost trade and, of course, suggested elements and measures needed for such an overhaul. Now, the statement also said that regional integration is no longer optional but rather critical for the continent's survival. Also, the statement highlighted the need for further cooperation to survive global geopolitical fragmentation, and of course this is another issue that was highlighted during the aspect of geopolitical fragmentation. Once again, Dr. Ahmed Farag, our economic expert, back on the line. Dr. Ahmed, welcome back.
Yes, ma'am.
Apologies, that was a bit of a technical problem with the line. Now, you were discussing the importance of the hosting of this conference, the first Egyptian-African Economic Conference in Cairo, and how the conference has urged an infrastructural overhaul to boost trade amongst countries in Africa. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. We discussed the importance of the conference to Egypt and the other African countries, and we would like to focus on, for example, boosting investment. As we know, economic cooperation opens the door to companies to invest in agriculture, manufacturing, tourism, and logistics across Africa. At the same time, the African can gain easier access industrial zones like Suez Canal and logistics hubs. One of the important things that can benefit Egypt through holding this conference is strengthening the transport and logistics sector in Egypt. Strategic location between the Mediterranean Sea and the Red Sea makes it a gateway for African trade with Europe and Asia. So integration promotes the Cairo Cape Town highway and upgrade the air, sea and railway links and regional supply chains. now we can move to another importance related to the conference. As economists, we expect that it would enhance the energy cooperation between Cairo and the African countries. As we know, nowadays Egypt is becoming a major energy hub. For example, in natural gas, renewable energy, interconnection projects. So Africa has vast, and as we know, Africa has vast renewable potential. So if there is a kind of integration, it would enable joint electricity interconnection projects and renewable energy investment. And also the African countries education and sustainable development.
Absolutely. Dr. Ahmed, now, how do you see, the statement by Cairo that regional integration is no longer optional, but rather critical, really, for the continent's survival in light of the global economic situation?
Actually, the African countries need to integrate, need to visualize a practical plan for more integration due to the challenging economic circumstances all over the world. Nowadays, we see lots of protectionism in terms of the trade transactions between the countries, and the dominance of the dollarization in the commercial transaction, I mean in the international commercial transactions. So if there is a kind of coordination between the African countries in terms of, for example, the regional trade and the trade barriers, and formulating a system for the exchange between it would be of great advantage for all the country.
Absolutely, Dr. Ahmed. Also, how do you elaborate on some of the aims of the summit? For example, activating the African Continental Free Trade Area by shifting the continent from just raw material exports to local manufacturing. How do you see this impacting a shift on the African continent's economy as a whole?
Well, the outputs of the conference would contribute to support as we know, there is an agreement called the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. The acronym is AFCFTA.
Yes.
So, and as we know, this agreement aims to create the largest free trade area in the world in Africa. So in such case, Egypt is one of the strongest supporters of such agreement. So if there is a kind of integration or coordination between Egypt and the other African countries, we in the future we can, as a result, we can see lower tariffs and harmonized regulations and free movement of goods and eventually labor. Also, there would be greater competitiveness for the Egyptian.
Right, apologies once again, Dr. Ahmed Farag. We seem to have a problem with the phone line. Our guest, Dr. Ahmed Farag, our economic expert. Thank you very, very much. And of course, for more on the first Egyptian African Economic Conference, we have this report. Let's take a look.
Former Egyptian Prime Minister Ibrahim Mahlab said Africa must dismantle the legacy of colonial infrastructure designed for resource extraction and replace it with networks that foster internal unity. Speaking at the first Egyptian-African Economic Conference in Cairo, Mahlab argued that the continent's fragmentation was a deliberate engineering of the past that continues to hamper economic growth today. He said under colonialism, roads were cut between regions. They only wanted roads to the ports to loot the raw materials. He said they built railways to the ports for export, not for internal trade. He stressed that this philosophy must change. Mahlab, a construction engineer by training, who previously led one of the region's largest contractors, championed the Cairo-Cape Town Highway as a transformative project. He described the transcontinental route not merely as a road, but as a zone of opportunity, capable of linking supply chains from the north to the south of the continent. However, he warned that such African dreams are stalling due to a lack of bankable projects and institutional capacity. With state budgets across the continent under strain from rising debt and inflation, as analysts say, Mahlab said governments can no longer fund infrastructure alone. He called for the aggressive adoption of innovative financial models to close the funding gap. These models are listed as public-private partnerships (PPP), leveraging private capital for public assets, build, operate, transfer (BOT), allowing private firms to finance, build and operate projects for a set period before transferring ownership to the state, hybrid financing, blending state funds with private investment. Mahlab said integration is not a loss of sovereignty, it is an investment in a joint future. The summit was organized to discuss the activation of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement.
And still with our news, match day 2 of the CAF Champions League and the CAF Confederation Cup delivered another round of top-tier continental football with featuring sharp tactical battles and momentum-shifting goals across Africa. Egypt's representatives impressed once again. We have more details in this story.
Match day 2 of the CAF Champions League and the CAF Confederation Cup delivered another round of top-tier continental football featuring sharp tactical battles and momentum-shifting goals across Africa. Egypt's representatives impressed once again. Cairo Giants Al Ahly earned a valuable away point against AS FAR to stay in control of Group B in the Champions League, while Port Said's Al Masry maintained their perfect start with a composed away victory over Zambia's Zesco United in Group D of the Confederation Cup. At a vibrant Stade Mohammed V in Rabat, reigning African champions Al Ahly showcased grit and experience to secure a valuable 1-1 draw against AS FAR, maintaining their grip on the top of CAF Champions League Group B. The hosts were handed a golden chance to seize control in the 37th minute when Mohamed Rimat stepped up to take a penalty, only to be denied by a brilliant low stop from Ahly's goalkeeper Mustafa Shobair, one of the match's defining moments. AS FAR capitalized moments later, though, as Mohsen Bouriga smashed home from close range to send the home crowd into celebration. Al Ahly emerged from the break with renewed energy. Their pressure paid off in the 68th minute when Tunisian midfielder Mohamed Ali bin Ramadan curled in a precise delivery for left winger Mahmoud Hassan Trezeguet to nod home the equalizer. The draw keeps Al Ahly level on points with Tanzanian young Africans at the top of the group ahead of only on-goal difference. Egyptian side Al Masry continued their impressive CAF Confederation Cup campaign, grinding out a thrilling 3-2 away victory over Zambia's Zesco United in Ndola to stay perfect atop Group D. Al Masry regained their composure midway through the first half, with Algerian forward Monder Tenim sweeping the ball home in the 24th minute to restore the lead heading into halftime. Despite a flurry of attacking substitutions from Zesco after the break, the visitors found the all-important third goal. Algerian centre-forward Abderrahim Dermoum arrived in the 68th minute to steer home a composed finish, handing Al Masry breathing space at 3-1. The hosts staged a late charge at substitute Peter Muskuma, pulled one back in the 87th minute and came close again deep into stoppage time. But Al Masry held on through 9 tense minutes of added time to secure a statement win on the road.
Wrapping up with a feature story on Botswana, which is a landlocked country in southern Africa, has a landscape defined by the Kalahari Desert and the Okavango Delta, which becomes a lush animal habitat during seasonal floods. Let's take a look.
Botswana is a landlocked country in southern Africa that borders the countries of Namibia, South Africa, Zimbabwe and Zambia. The geography is flat and up to 70% of Botswana is covered by the Kalahari Desert, thus making it a sparsely populated country with little agricultural activity. The government system is a parliamentary republic. The chief of state and head of government is the president. Botswana's economy has generally experienced stable growth since independence. It is dominated by tourism and mining. Botswana produces more diamonds than any other country. Its gross national income per capita of about $20,158 as of 2024 gives the country a relatively high standard of living and the second highest human development index of continental sub-Saharan Africa, after South Africa. Despite this, Botswana continues to grapple with high unemployment and income inequality rates. Botswana is a member of the Southern African Customs Union, the Southern African Development Community, the Commonwealth of Nations and the United Nations.
With that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of today's edition of Africa Today. You were in the company of myself, Angie Meher. Many thanks for watching.